Hey, what's up, Speaker Posse? This is Clinton Young, international keynote speaker and coach for aspiring world-class speakers, and of course, the founder of the Speaker Posse. If you're a speaker who's ever asked the question, how much should I charge for my keynote, for my presentation, my workshop, then this definitely is for you. This video will give you a lot of information. I get this question a lot. And one of my students just asked me this question, and I figured I would answer it inside of a video format to provide value to all of you. So again, if you are a speaker or an entrepreneur who has a keynote speech coming up and it's a paid gig, or maybe you're working with an agent or a bureau, which I know a lot of new speakers are not working with bureaus. Those are typically reserved for more established speakers or speakers that have perceived credibility. And I'll speak about what that is right now, actually, while I'm on that topic. So if you're not a world-class speaker, which you've probably seen me speak in the past and talk about this, what I mean by that is not speaking all around the world and getting paid a bunch of money. You can do that as a world-class speaker. And of course, world-class speakers do that more. However, what I mean is having the ability to speak through that unconscious barrier that is always there, and it's always blocking us from connecting with our audience, right? It's becoming masterful at speaking and effective at inspiring action. So that's what I mean by world-class. If you are that type of speaker, then yeah, you will get the attraction or the attention of potentially a bureau once you've started speaking and get your name out there. But perceived credibility as a speaker is if you have a book, especially if it's published by a large publishing house, that gives instant credibility. So also another example is if you're like an Olympic athlete or you've survived something really crazy in your life, some trauma, and it's gotten some notoriety and it's a really big story, that is also an example of perceived credibility as a speaker, right? So you could be a not that great of speaker, but still be able to get booked by, let's say, an agent or a bureau, where normally those bureaus do represent those bigger name personalities or influencers that have a large following, or somebody who has developed themselves into becoming a world-class speaker. So there's multiple ways to increase your fees and multiple ways to get representation by an agent and or a bureau. However, the question comes back to, how much do you start out at? Like, what do you charge for your keynote? Well, it depends. That's the answer. It depends. And it depends on so many things. I've just mentioned a few of those things, right? How much credibility, whether it's legit credibility, I shouldn't say legit, because you know what, if you've survived a crazy experience in your life, or if you've climbed Mount Kilimanjaro with no legs or something like really, really crazy, or you're an Olympic athlete, or you've written a book that's been published by a national, big time publishing house, then yeah, that is credibility. So it's legit. But what I mean by what I said is, whether you're somebody who's really developed the chops as becoming a world-class speaker, or you just have this credibility where people want to come and see you speak, even if you're not a very good speaker, then you can charge a decent amount for your fee. But if you're just starting out, you want to be careful. And I'm going to actually go into the exact email that was sent to me and give you the exact answer that I would give. And then you can kind of overlay that onto your situation. But what I was about to say is, you've kind of got to be careful, because if you say your fee is a certain amount and then you go and you speak and whoever hired you doesn't feel that you were as good as, let's say, the last speaker that they hired at that price point, well, it's a pretty small world in the speaking world. And that word will get out, and nothing bad probably will happen, but you might not get other gigs at that level. So let's dig into the actual email that was sent to me. And I want to give you some insight around how to know how much to charge. Because again, I know this is a question I get a lot in the Speaker Posse. A lot of my one-on-one clients and a lot of my world-class Speaker Ignite group coaching clients have this question as well. So whether you are a workshop speaker or a trainer or a coach or an author or an entrepreneur who speaks or does TED Talks or does sales presentations, or maybe you do actually do keynotes, there's an opportunity for you to potentially get paid for a keynote speech or for a workshop, for example, and you want to know how much to charge. So here is the question that was asked me. I'm going to make this totally anonymous because I don't want this person to, I didn't get permission for her. We talked, we chatted, but I don't want to just reveal everything about her. It's not important. So she basically says, I have a quick question. I've gotten some incoming speaking requests, and considering an agent through the publishing house, because she just published a book, who is highly recommended by a friend who does a lot of speaking. The agent has asked how much I'd like to make. $1 million per speech. Yes, I'd like to make that. And I don't have a good sense of what to tell them. They say that they're thinking $5,000 for a corporate or for-profit organization. And that would be for more like a fireside chat format. So that's kind of like an interview, really kind of relaxed. You're usually sitting down. Sometimes it's a panel, but fireside chat is normally one-on-one type interview style. And they're also thinking maybe it would be about $7,500 for a workshop or keynote. And that's interesting that they said that. And I want to differentiate the different price points. You see, normally a keynote is going to fetch a much higher price point than a workshop. So you probably would not charge the same amount, whether it's $7,500 or $10,000 or $5,000 or $2,000 or $1,000. You probably wouldn't charge the same amount for a keynote versus a workshop, period. Those are kind of two separate animals. So really there's three things they're asking about: fireside chat format, a workshop, which is kind of like a training, or a keynote. The three different types of events. I would say the workshop is probably the lowest of the three, although it could be on par with a fireside chat. I haven't really done a lot of fireside chats for money, so I don't have a lot to speak about on that. But it really comes down to how good of a speaker you are, right? And how proven of a quality speaker you are, and or how much credibility do you have outside of your speaking ability, right? Through either writing a book that's gotten, nationally published or internationally or whatever, a bestseller, et cetera, huge credibility there. Or if you're an Olympic athlete, like I said, or you grew a business and sold it and exited and made $1 million, whatever it is that gives you that credibility that would have an audience say, I want to go and see this person speak. That's the credibility that has nothing to do with your speaking ability. I've seen speakers that get paid a lot of money. I'm talking over 10 grand for 45 minutes, and they're not even a good speaker. Like, they're a terrible speaker. Now, is there longevity in that? Probably not. Although if you're a famous person, yeah, people will continue to hire you to speak. Or if you have something that's really, really of interest and is intriguing, people will probably continue to hire you to speak, even if you're not a great speaker. But eventually, that's not very sustainable, even if you do have a really famous story or a famous background. So the last part of the question that they asked is, they said, does that seem reasonable, those price points, given my current experience? And it's very limited experience. Essentially, they've done 3 keynotes and a lot of panels and Q&As and some platform. And of course, they are growing. So some people are commenting here, reveal. All right, I think I already revealed. So we're talking about how much do you charge for your keynote or for your workshop? And I just shared that there are different levels, right? There's a couple variables. There's how much experience do you have as a speaker? And there's how much credibility do you have in the world of whatever that topic is that they want you to speak about? Are you a published author? That's going to immediately allow you to charge a fee. Like, even if you are a terrible speaker, if you're a published author, you can probably get a paid keynote speech right now or a workshop. And it might be virtual given COVID, but it's it is a benefit. It is a reason why a lot of coaches say, go out and write a book. I personally don't think that's the best use of your time generally, because a lot of times that'll just bog you down and then you never speak. You're sitting there writing a book, right? But it is a good strategy if you are a writer and if we have the capacity to write a book and you have something good to write about. The other thing we talked about is if you have a credible story or you have a unique story, well, that an audience is going to want to hear, or if you have a large following, if you're an influencer, you have a large following, you could kind of be a terrible speaker and still show up and maybe get paid. But again, none of those are sustainable. You have to remember, none of those are sustainable. So to answer her question, she has a book and it's being published by a big time publisher. So she probably could get away with charging $5,000 for a fireside chat. You probably could. Now, a fireside chat could be almost on par with a keynote. Probably not, because it's a lot easier to do a fireside chat. But again, if they really want you, you probably could, that $5,000 probably could be your fee, as long as you're making sure that you're entertaining, you're humoring, and you're inspiring. I'd write that down. If you're doing any sort of keynote or any speaking, you always want to humor, you always want to entertain, and you always want to inspire. And of course, you want to have great content, like really, really good content that is either controversial or that is counterintuitive. It's not just the standard vanilla content, or that's uniquely yours, right? Original content. So there's a couple things. Now, for $7,500 for a keynote, given that you have this book, you probably could say my keynote is $7,500, but you better show up and you better have a great keynote. And one great thing you can do, this is a great tip, everybody listening here. One thing you can do to really evaluate and see, like, am I a 5K speaker? Am I a 10K speaker? Am I a 20K speaker? Am I a $1,000 speaker? Or should I not be getting paid at all? Go and look at some of the Speakers Bureau's websites, because on the Speakers Bureau's websites, they're going to have, on most of them, they're going to have your 10K speakers. Most bureaus won't rep anyone below like 7,500, but there are some boutique bureaus that represent people in the 5K range. But below that, you're usually not going to have representation. I've been represented by, I think, one or two, at least one, maybe two bureaus. And my fee, full disclosure, is 10K for my speeches. So go out and look and see, like, all right, if I'm a 5K speaker, go looking at all the 5K speakers and watch their videos and say, I can do that. Or, wow, that's amazing. Or, oh my goodness, look at the production value on that. If you don't have that, if you don't have a video as well, that is probably on par with that type of video for a 5K level speaker, then that might be, it's not going to disqualify you, because they might be like, well, she doesn't have a video, but she has this amazing book that she's just put out, and I want to get her out there. Hey, what's up, Steph? Good to see you. And whoever else is on, I can't tell. It's wonderful to have you guys here in the Speaker Posse. I know some of you are joining me from YouTube as well. And we're talking about how to know how much to charge for your keynote or any type of presentation. Normally, you're going to get charged the most. You can charge the most for a keynote. And then usually a training or a workshop is definitely going to be a step below that. And I would guess that a fireside chat is somewhere in between those two. But again, I haven't done a lot of fireside chats. But remember, go out and look and see, what are other people charging and what are their videos like? What are their video quality and how good of a speaker are they? I think most importantly, that it comes down to how good of a speaker are you is the most important thing. But again, you can get gigs and sort of use the credibility of either, hey, what's going on? I'm not quite sure who that is. SZ, I can't tell. If you do follow the StreamYard process, it'll show your face on here and your name, and I can help promote you as well. But ultimately, if you are going to borrow the credibility of either your book or your reputation or your followers, right, or your unique story, then just know that although you may get that 5K fee, even though you feel like you're not a 5K speaker and you don't have the 5K video, but you have that credibility, just know that that is likely not sustainable. Okay. You could probably continue to do that as long as you keep being interesting out to, oh, Steph Cito. Okay. You already said your name. I knew you were on here. Thank you. You probably can continue to get opportunities as long as you stay relevant and as long as you feel like, or they feel like their audience is going to want to see you speak. But if you're just not a good speaker, it's probably not going to land well. And ultimately, even if they brought you in because you have a cool story, if you're not a world-class speaker, you're not going to really be able to inspire the action that you truly want to inspire. Hey, what's up, JJ? Good to see you, man. And it's also not going to inspire really them to take the actions, the call to action that you have in your speech, if you want to drive them to either follow you or drive more referrals for your speaking opportunities or coaching opportunities for you. So it's just not sustainable if you don't become a world-class speaker, but you can charge those fees, again, if you have that credibility in the background. Now, of course, somebody says here, if you don't have a reel from your in-person events from the past, how do you create a great video now? Okay, great question. So you have to start somewhere, right? You just have to start somewhere. And in the beginning, again, evaluate what other people are charging. What do their videos look like? You should have seen my first video. It actually wasn't that bad, but you can probably find it on YouTube. And they always evolve. You got to start somewhere. My first gig, by the way, was $500. $500. And I'd spent a lot of time on stages. I was worth way more than a $500 speaker, but that was my first gig. My second gig was $2,500 and then $4,500. And then it went to 10 grand. And then I got a 7,500 and 10 grand. And so my fee now is 10 grand, but and I had a couple other ones in there. I kind of skipped some steps around the $3,500 range, several of those, and 4,500. But ultimately, like, you can charge whatever you want. Just know that it's a small world reputation wise from a meeting planner perspective. And if you're not good, if you're not world-class, well, it's going to get around. But at the end of the day, there's a market for $500 speakers. There's a market for $1,000 speakers. There's a market for $3,000 speakers. I would almost guess that anybody watching this video, because you're in the speaker posse, you probably can automatically charge like $2,000 for a speech, at least $1,000. I don't even know who's on here except Steph. Steph, I guarantee, Steph, you could charge more than $1,000 right now, even if you've never gotten charged or never charged for a speech. So let me answer your question. There's a little bit of a different question here. If you don't have a reel from your in-person events from the past, how do you create a great video now? Okay, so find ways for you to speak, first of all. Just find free opportunities to go and speak. If there are any live opportunities right now where you can volunteer to speak for free, go and do them live. Obviously, that's going to be a little bit better. If you have any pictures of you in a networking room where you're talking to a bunch of people, or maybe you did, speak for 30 seconds on stage or a minute and somebody came up and talked to you and there's a picture of you, an image of you in front of a room or even near a stage, or even if you're standing on a stage with another speaker, right? Grab those images. And then what you can do is, this is a great thing that I've done in the past to really make your video work for wherever you're at, right? For wherever you're at. And there's a lot of comments here. So let me just get to the comments before I finish that. Considering lots of Zooms right now. So Steph continues her question here. Okay, great. Somebody's loving the concept. Oh, that's JJ. Loving the concept of 1 to 2K to speak. Yeah, absolutely, JJ. You could totally do that. You could get $1,000 right now. You just got to find the right opportunity. And this is why, in our coaching program, we talk a lot about, figuring out why you feel called to speak and who's your ideal person that you want to speak to. Because when it's the right match, when you understand the pain of your audience, that's the same pain that the leader of that group, right, is looking for a solution for. So they're looking for speakers like you to solve that pain. So if you understand your avatar, your ideal client, you understand those audiences, and then you know how to find those audiences, and you can present in a way online or in your communication with them that you solve that problem, then they're going to bring you in, right? So I'm going to come back to Steph's question. I'm sorry I keep dancing around it. So pictures. Get as many pictures as you can of you speaking. And I wish I could show you a picture. Maybe it's on my phone. I'll show you on my phone real quick. I actually did this in JJ's group. I spoke in his awesome real estate networking mastermind, I think that's the name of it, group last weekend. And it was awesome. Awesome. We got lots of people that enrolled in a one-on-one call with me. And I'm going to show you this picture really quick, because this is a great example for when you're doing Zoom calls. And that's not it. This is another example. I did a radio interview in England yesterday, and I took a picture of me while I was delivering that. And I want to give you a better example here. When I did a live Zoom with JJ's group, I actually took a really cool picture. I kind of bit off something that JJ always does. And check this out. This is actually a really cool picture. And I have my Let me just change this so you can see it better. So I take this picture, and that's a great picture that could go in a reel, right? You can see that it has, a microphone, there's people on screen, right? I put a little picture of me here on this side. You can see I'm in Paris, right? There's the cool little lighting. So ultimately, Steph, to answer your question, like if you don't have a video of you speaking, then get right here and just start speaking. You could speak to yourself and just record it like you're delivering a speech. It doesn't have to be long. Your video should only be like 90 seconds anyways, especially if you're brand new, right? As you get a little bit more experience, it should probably be like 3 minutes, 4 minutes, but you don't really want a long video anyways. So there's a lot of questions here and a lot of comments. All right, got some truth. All right, in person. If you can get some in person, that's amazing. Every time you speak, business happens, right? And every time you speak, speaking begets speaking. So you always want to take video of every single time you speak as well, because you got credibility right there. As soon as I spoke for JJ's group, what did I do, JJ? I posted that image on social media, and now people are starting to see you speaking. You want to become omnipresent in the world. I know we're going off topic of how much to charge for your keynote, but you got me on a roll here, and somebody's watching on YouTube. Awesome. Let me know who you are if you're watching on YouTube. But ultimately, you want to get as much footage of you speaking as possible. And I know with the time of COVID, you're going to have to get images like you speaking on your Zoom, but get creative with it, right? And get little clips of you speaking. And one thing I did, this is another example. Here's JJ's mastermind, by the way, if anybody's looking for a cool real estate mastermind networking group. It's amazing. That's where I just spoke. Awesome. Got a ton of comments. Nice. Cool. We got Dave Kemp coming in from Costa Rica, I believe. He's an amazing artist and musician. Let's see here. I do have one video. It can be better. Yes. So use whatever you have, Steph, and get your video put together, right? Even if I have a great guy as well that I could refer you to, by the way, it's pretty cheap, but ultimately, you've got to get something out there, because if you want to charge $3,000 for your speech and they go and they look at other $3,000 speakers, you probably should have a video that's pretty similar in quality to that other person. And by the way, I have heard this numerous times. I have not yet invested 10 grand on my speaker demo reel, but I have heard that you should spend as much on your demo reel as your speaker fee. Again, I've not spent 10 grand on my speaker demo reel, but maybe I need an upgraded reel. I probably do, because I have a lot of footage from previous gigs. But ultimately, like one of my first speaking gigs, I got paid $2,500, and I actually did 2 gigs. No, it was $3,500, but I had an agent, so they got 30%. Whatever it was, I only made $1,400. I could have the numbers wrong. I think it was 2,500, and I only got 70%. So I made $1,400. It was a huge room, though. It was amazing. Big jumbo. Second time I ever had jumbotrons. It was really cool. And I invested the entire $1,400 that I received for my fee to have a 3-camera shoot on both days. And ultimately, I only set it up for one day the first time, $700. So I was only going to make $700. But man, that demo reel that I got, the footage that I got from the first day was okay. And I knew I had to deliver it 2 days later. So I brought the guys back and I said, I'm paying you all my money, another $700, paid them my entire fee. And on that second day, I freaking slayed it. And I got such amazing footage. And that is literally in my speaker demo reel now. Hey, what's up, Rob? See, Rob is watching on YouTube. Awesome. He's one of my students. He's an awesome entrepreneur, awesome investor. Follow Rob Hansen. If you want to learn about real estate investing, he's your dude. He's your guide. He's awesome. All right, cool. Rob is here again. And then Pura Vida, Dave Kemp, love it, from Costa Rica. Awesome. So ultimately, the moral of the story is here. How do you know how much to charge for your keynotes or your presentations at your workshops, et cetera? If you're just joining us, I'm just going to give a quick recap, and this is good for everybody. Somebody's saying hi to Dave. Love it. Let us know who you are. And ultimately, there's a couple variables. Again, how much you get paid, you should look at what other people out there are getting paid. And not that you want to follow everybody, but look and see. If I'm going to charge $5,000, go and find the $5,000 speakers out there. And you can do that by looking at the bureaus. Again, some of the boutique bureaus will have $5,000 and $7,500 speakers. Most of the speaking bureaus are at the 10K or more, 7,500 or more level. But if you think you're at the 5K range, or some of them even go a little bit lower than that, 3K, again, those are boutique ones. Not all of them show the fees, but just sometimes you just have to guess, say, if I don't have a demo reel, I'm not going to charge more than $2,500. I bet a lot of you on here right now could go out and charge $2,500 for your speaking engagement literally today. Now with COVID, it's a little bit, tiny bit different. So maybe you decrease that a little bit. But ultimately, everybody has $1,000 worth of value to share in 45 minutes. And that's a pretty good 45 minutes if you ask me, right? 45 minutes for $1,000, I'll take it, right? I would even do that. My fee's 10 grand. As long as it's easy and if it's on Zoom, sure, I probably would do that. So if you know somebody out there that is an entrepreneur group, a mastermind, a corporation that wants someone like me to come in and share how to crush your keynote or crush your sales presentation, I'd be honored and thrilled to earn your referral. I really would. Right? I just gave you the elegant referral script there as well. So ultimately, how much you charge is up to you. But ultimately, if you're going to charge a fee, make sure you're somewhat on par with other people. If they all have banging videos and they're all put together, you probably don't want to charge that much. You probably want to decrease it a little bit, right? Find your range that you're comfortable with, and know that even if you have credibility from your large following, I know Dave Kemp has a massive following on Instagram. You should follow him. He's got some really cool stuff, especially if you're an artist or you're into yoga. He's amazing. He's an amazing musician as well. One of my faves. And he's also a lifestyle entrepreneur living in Pura Vida in Costa Rica. It's really cool. I'm right behind you, my friend. And like if you have that kind of credibility, that perceived credibility from a speaking perspective, then you can charge more. But just know that, again, it's not as sustainable as being a world-class speaker. Now, if you have the credibility from your background, or you wrote a book, or your following, or you're an Olympic athlete, and you're a world-class speaker, holy crap. Now you can charge a lot of money for your speech, because ultimately the thing that's going to keep people coming back is not your background. It's not your history. It's how you leave that audience. How do you make them feel? People don't remember what you say. People don't remember what you do, but people always, always, always remember how you make them feel. So if you're not part of the Speaker Posse, definitely join my Speaker Posse. If you want to get my crazy world-class these are my secrets, okay? Secrets to crush your keynote, to crush your fireside chat, to absolutely crush your TED Talk or your sales presentation, and leave not saying like, what just happened? I didn't get the results I wanted, but actually leave saying, oh my goodness, I just inspired action. I just got the results, the notoriety, the sales, the additional referrals for speaking opportunities. Then definitely grab my World-Class Speaker Secrets at worldclassspeakersecrets.com. Grab those now. And you can, of course, follow me on clintonyoung.com as well. Until next time, my name is Clinton Young from the Speaker Posse. I am out. Give me all your questions, by the way, because I want to do more of these Facebook Lives and YouTube Lives to answer all of your questions. And chat, share, like, love, tag people, get more people into the Speaker Posse so we can help more and more people uplift humanity with their voice. All right. Until next time, take care. Think big, say yes, and take action. Bye-bye.